Kayleen.
Yay, Corinda!
You told me
You
to do
all
that.
were.
Oh, Lord, gee. I love-
I heard you got neutered a little bit there.
Look at him.
Some
You do.
Be serious.
I'm ready to proceed. Good evening and welcome to our board meeting this fine wintry day, summer winter day. Mr. Parker, would you like to start with awards and
Yes,
recognitions?
if I may, I'd
Thank
appreciate
you.
that. So, for our recognition portion of the evening, we have several guests with us, including students and teachers from Eastern and Stamping Ground, as well as friends from the Scott County Retired Teachers Association. Welcome to each of you. It's my understanding that retired Scott County teacher, Mrs. Mary Jean Long, is going to join me in a combined presentation. So if you wouldn't mind. Okay, I'm sorry, I wasn't aware. I knew I. Let's come on. We'll come on over here. Here as well. Here to help. So first, Paisley Rose, fifth grade student at Stamping Ground Elementary School. Yeah. She wrote an essay in honor of her grandmother, Pam Flahar. And I wrote it down before. I'm sorry. In her essay, Paisley explains why she thinks AARP. Her words are better than anything I could even. Paisley writes, always there when I need her. All of her. Whenever I'm in a bad mood, being negative, she's kind of. Whenever I need her, she's big competition gymnastics. Always. Whenever I have a place, makes me a warm breakfast. Sure that there are more. Our grandmother serving also many reasons. Tonight we congratulate both. Also,
Here is your official certificate and a letter from, the program is sponsored through the Kentucky Retired Teachers Association and AARP. It has an official AARP letter and a certificate. Okay.
okay, yes. Yeah. I feel like awesome. Yes, we're going to have Stamping Ground Library Media Specialist, Whitney Sosby, also. The Retired Teachers Association have a token of appreciation for her help with the essay contest that they received.
Also, there was a rubric, well, not a rubric, but AARP said, well, this percentage has to be, on this essay. And thanks to Whitney, she came up with a rubric. We were able to assess all the essays.
Oh,
And I also, as a retired teacher, this young lady, I think, was an 8th grader my first year teaching. Okay. Yes.
Right, next we have the school winner from Eastern Elementary, Juliet Robeson. Juliet wrote an essay entitled "Why My Papa and Grandparents Honor Father Mark." Juliet shares with the readers, "Know you're going to get a lot of papers. Pick mine." Juliet's a very compassionate young lady and shared some very thoughtful reflections 2 years ago. No, she's gone. She also appreciates her grandfather's Papa's super funny. Loves to tell jokes, play around. Jokes around with all of his grandkids. Always treats well. So proud of Juliet. Are we? Get a sign on forward so that we can. A little bit. And Juliet's essay was submitted by Eastern Elementary School. Mrs. Erica Watcher. Mrs. Watcher, if you could come forward, please.
Yes.
I'm
one
getting
more.
ready to turn it over. Turn it over to Miss Long. She's going to tell us the overall Scott County winner content.
So this year, our goal as Scott County retired teachers is to have 3 schools involved. We almost had one more, but that school had some other conflicts later on in the year. So our goal, for any other principals here or whatever, is to go for 5 schools next year. The essay we get written, my goal next year, though, is to get all the essays turned in by Thanksgiving, not the beginning of December like I did this year, because it was too much of a hassle right there at the end of the school year. But get the school winners done by the end of, by Thanksgiving, so then we have a chance to look at the school winners prior to choosing a county winner for January. So we turned all the school information in to the local AARP people in December, and we are turning it in for the district. So, thanks to our Scott County Retired Teachers Administrative Planning Committee group, I shared both these ladies' essays and the rubric with them, and it was a very, very close. I almost had to be a tiebreaker on this. But Paisley Rose, you are the Scott County winner for this year. So come forward, please. You will be getting another official certificate from AARP, but you are the Scott County. You're welcome.
I know sometimes it's really, as a district and as school leaders and teachers, a bunch of people coming at us to participate in things. So again, thank you to Mrs. Osby for participating. our Retired Teacher Association locally means a lot to us. Teammates.
Okay, well, thank you and congratulations. Number 4, agenda approval.
Move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 5, public comment. Mike Davis.
Was my handwriting.
A
Hopefully
little
Good
birdie
evening.
told me that you're very well versed in our 5-minute limit.
Oh.
Hey, look here. I've been known to get long-winded at times. I ain't gonna deny that.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I won't deny that.
Thank you.
Okay, as my time started. Good evening, board members, Mr. Parker, fellow educators, and community members. I stand before you today as a representative of Scott County Education Association to speak on behalf of our dedicated teachers and students we serve. First and foremost, we are grateful for the 8% raise granted to educators last year, an investment that is in our future for our children, our community, and the teaching profession. We recognize that this increase was a positive step forward, and we commend the commitment it reflects toward our educators. The leadership of Mr. Parker and this board has truly been about advancing Scott County to the next level. However, as we move into this next academic year, we must acknowledge the evolving challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. As me and Mr. Parker were talking in our meeting the last couple of weeks with our new president is proof of that. Our schools are at a critical juncture, and we must take bold, decisive actions to ensure that we continue to provide high-quality education to all of our students. One of the most crucial steps we can take is to prioritize the recruitment and retention of the best and brightest teachers. While this year's new teacher orientation was the lowest I've seen in years, we must continue to reduce that even further. The teaching profession is rapidly changing with the rising demands and increasing expectations and the ever-evolving educational landscape. We must ensure that our teachers are equipped, supported, and valued for their incredible work they do. We know that well-compensated teachers are more likely to stay in the profession, maintain their passion, and be strong role models for the students they teach. No one goes into education to get rich. They do it because they have a deep passion for children. But it's important for us to show the state in Scott County that we do things the right way. And it's where educators want to be. To attract and retain top-tier talent, we must remain competitive with other districts, states, and industries. The market for exceptional educators is highly competitive. We cannot afford to be complacent. That is why I'm here today asking you all for your consideration. I know you're all going through all the budgets and allocations and stuff like that, for an additional 5% raise for teachers for the upcoming year. This raise is not just fair compensation. It's about sending a powerful message to our educators, our students, and our community, as well as those around the state, that Scott County cares about the future of our schools, especially when sometimes it doesn't seem that Frankfort does. This proposed increase would, with the combined last year's 8% increase that we had, will help our district remain competitive in the ever-challenging and high-competitive market. We must do everything in our power to attract the best teachers so not just for today, but for tomorrow. It is crucial that we remain a district that others look at as an example. I want people saying, what are they doing down there? Making this investment, we ensure that our teachers have financial security to focus on what matters most, their students. And by attracting and retaining high-quality educators, we set our standards for our students and for success, ensuring they receive the education they deserve that will prepare them for the challenges that are ahead. Our children are entering a world that's more competitive than ever. As both a parent and educator, I believe that we should all want them to have the equipped skill set and make sure that it's delivered by the best teachers possible. Once again, I thank you all for everything you all have done and your dedication, and I urge you to consider the proposal, and hopefully we can find the money to make this happen this year.
Thank you.
No, thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Number 6, consent agenda items A through J.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 7, construction reports. Tony, welcome.
Thank you, and good evening back. Congratulations to the board members on the recognition month. And first I'll acknowledge on Garth, and I'll leave this with you, Mr. Parker. The window menu, yeah, the window, sorry, I should have took a picture of this.
The shortest construction report in history.
Yeah, that's right. You probably like that, don't you? Garth made it in their yearly calendar for the people who make the windows because it was such a beautiful thing. So I'm going to leave this calendar with you. So yeah, that's a picture of.
Stephanie stole that picture from somewhere, but I can't find it. I need to
Well, here you go. Yeah, I'm going to leave. But they're missing one blind at Garth. Speaking of it, it comes tomorrow, should be over. 96 renovation is wrapping up, and of course, there's really not any other construction going on except to talk about the new plans. Of course, your next agenda item is to approve the final plans in BG3. So I have a PowerPoint to talk about Oxford Elementary, now aptly named, and of course remember the colors, and I'm sure I'll get all that information as after it bids and we start putting colors together and things of that nature. But there's a minor change that I'm going to discuss since we last approved design development. But for the big picture, just understand that it's the same as schematic, it's the same as design development. Nothing's really changed. This is the same floor plan that you've looked at. The minor change I want to talk to you about, after having some discussion with your administrators, Mr. Parker, Mr. Ellison, and others, it was decided that maybe the storm shelter should be thought about a little bit more into the future. You know, maybe it's a 600-student school, but what about, you know, when the school gets to 700, gets to 800? And I thought it was a pretty good observation, maybe to go ahead and make the storm shelter a little bit larger. In this blown up image right here, you see the red line. Everything to the right at schematic and design development was the storm shelter. So what we've done, and this is it just blown up, but you can see we've moved that corridor, and I'll go back and forth. The corridor is right, the corridor that goes out perpendicular is right beside the red line. What we've done is we've moved that corridor down and brought 2 classrooms into it. Now where you see the red line, there's 2 more classrooms into that area. So you gain the hallway, you gain the classrooms. It'll probably be easier for drills even now, even though there may not be 600-700 students there. But it's also thinking for the future. And it's a pretty simple change, probably not much additional cost to it, none that I even changed the estimate on the BG3. So I did want to bring to light that change. The exterior renderings, of course, we've still got, I got a couple more for you this time, but this is the same colors and brick that we used before. This gives you an idea of what the exterior of the school will look like. This is around where the parent pickup will be, and I'll show you where that is on the site plan here in a minute. Just a little bit more close up there. Those are cafeteria windows. Made them a little bit smaller here and a little bit sills higher off the ground, a little bit more safety. And of course, we're using the school guard glass and around the front door and areas like that. And we're using a glass at the cafeteria where it's, you know, hard to penetrate. We came around to the back here and just, you know, there's an alternate for the solar panels. Just wanted to show you what the solar panels would look like on the back of the roof should you accept, you know, the alternate. If not, you'd just see the blue roof. This is swinging all the way around to the other side. That's the gym with the 3 round windows up in the gym. And you can see the solar panels on that side as well. And what the back of the school looks like there too. And there's I've zoomed in a little bit so you can see a little better. I wish the skies always look like that. Makes the roof look beautiful, yeah. And just a reminder, this is kind of what the PV panels look like, the solar panels. But of course, this is a smaller array than would be on your school. And this is the first time you see an interior rendering. Those colors on the floor are a little bit bright right now. We probably maybe work to tone them down a little bit, but there's primary colors, and it is an elementary school. We did change up from what was at Creekside a little bit. There were a lot of curves in the terrazzo, and Mr. Ellison and other Others felt like, maybe that was a little bit difficult and time consuming, maybe if we keep to straight orthogonal lines, it could do a little better. Plus it gives a little uniqueness to the school as well. So that's one rendering, and that's just changing up the colors a little bit. But again, this just shows you what the school looks like on the inside. Technically, it's just white when we bid it. The colors are just white. We'll have a chance to come back and whatever kind of color committees or whoever we want to get together and decide on colors like we've done at all the other schools.
That's the entrance, though, right?
That's right inside there's a.
Some of that color going to be taken into the inside
Yes.
hallways? That
Yes.
process?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, most definitely. Yes. Yes. And the colors up above there as well, those are more toned down grayish colors. And that little, through the window, that green is not going to be part of the scheme. It's just, we didn't catch that it's behind the windows there into the media center. But again, every color you see here is going to be up for, debate and decision at a later time. So that's a couple of entries. You've seen the exterior rendering. So we're pretty much within the next week or two going to be ready to go out to bid. So what you're doing tonight is approving the BG3 and the final plans to do that. And of course, that doesn't commit you to anything until you get numbers in front of you, and then you have the opportunity to see the numbers and the numbers on the alternates from there. Just a reminder of the site plan. We worked a little bit more on the site plan. That was one of the things that was keeping us a little bit slow. That Cynthiana Road up in the left upper corner there. Of course, the red is the building. The parking is pretty much similar in number to what you have at Creekside, but there you can see where there'll be two play areas, and the retention area, I should have called it retention basin. That's where the stormwater is going to go. And if you look at kind of let's see, that's just a blow up of the upper corner where we're tying in. You can see it's a nice divided road that comes out on Cynthiana, because Cynthiana is a well-traveled road. There's two lanes going out, one lane coming in, and it'll be divided there. And here's just the civil site plan showing that we have I don't know that I counted them exactly, but it should be the exact same number that you have at Creekside. So the number of spaces you have at Creekside, but we've moved more up front and less to the back, because there was a request to put more out front. You can see that's a larger parking lot out there, and you can see where the buses and cars go. But with signage and cones and things like that, the principal of the building can do a lot of different things with the roads. And there's going to be some of the roads are going to be 2 lanes, some of the roads are going to be 3 lane. I'm going to back up just a little bit there. You can see a little bit better. How many roads there are. If somebody needs to get out of line, somebody needs to go around somebody, bus can't get stuck because we've got enough lanes in there. And we're separating the traffic, of course, as well. So I'll come back to here. So knowing what you already know from the schematic and the design development, and now what I've told you tonight, on your next agenda item, I would recommend you approve final plans for the Oxford Elementary School. And that's the construction report.
Do you have a bid date?
We are looking at, assuming that everything goes well tonight, we are looking at, and I emailed you that. Yeah, pull that up if you don't mind. It was right at the beginning of. I think we go out to bid February 10th, and then.
Yes, February 10th.
And it's about 1 month later. Right. Okay, and that should put it just a little bit before your. Yes. Right. Pull the numbers together. I'm sorry, I didn't remember. I should have had that right at my hand. Yep. Mhm. Yes. That goes into the neighborhood, and I'm sure Mr. Parker probably knows the name of the neighborhood, but there you go.
That's what I was.
And just as a reminder too, this is an example of proactive planning, reactive.
Around in there, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Yes.
However many, well, even before we finish, think it's on that. Conversations were had with the developer there so that they had awareness of hey, here's what we're thinking. Think we can plug straight in because
Yeah.
the awesome thing is we'll be able to go straight from that site, go all the way to 460
Oh,
as you
wow.
go through. Because I mean, that's 62. That's so anybody that would turn left out there, I would advise subdivision.
Like, you haven't thought that, like, many of the buses, or it could be both.
No, we've thought it. Yeah, we're not quite to that point,
Okay.
but again, when we purchased this, we knew growth, old Oxford quadrant.
Right.
Those students,
all
those
of that
buses have to go
quadrant.
much further than that.
Yeah, and all of that quadrant is south of that,
Right.
south of that. So it's likely that all this it may in fact be 90% of the traffic. Oh,
Okay.
this
Okay.
direction.
Which we have at Lemons Mill too, that we come
Yes.
in through a subdivision as
Yeah,
well.
right.
And when we decided to go ahead and move forward with this, when we approved this just recently, this past year, Mr. Parker got in touch with the developer again and said, hey, we're good to
Yes.
go, and
Yeah.
just reiterated that we were doing this, so.
The
Thinking that
Right.
so that's really
well, that's one thing I would say that Tony and his team.
Thank
So the
Yes.
minimum requirement would be for a 600 student model. Crazy. This is 25. I couldn't imagine cutting this down. Get everything we need.
Is the traffic line, do you think that it's around the same size? I'm just trying to get, comparison to Creekside?
Yes.
Because it
We-
looks very, very similar.
Yeah, that play area is soccer football field size, and and that's pretty much what we go around at
Okay.
Creekside in the back as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
That was the first piece of feedback that Patterson.
Yeah.
Even though
And again, we do that, just for everybody here, we do that just to keep traffic off our roads. And we keep everybody safe, we keep parents safe, children safe, our staff safe, it just keeps
Well, the rest of
everything
the
rotating.
community can continue to operate without having to stop
Right,
or wait
we
for
don't
them
have to
because of
stop
the
and wait on 62
Pull
or
together.
the subdivision, so it works out wonderful.
And your phone doesn't ring as much.
Well.
From complaints, I mean. Yeah.
It's not that bad.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I kid, I
All right, very good.
I can sit here through agenda item number
Yeah,
8 if you like, unless there's any other questions.
I have one more question.
yes, yes.
So with that additional space that we have in the storm shelter, how
Yes.
many more people can those 2 rooms hold? I forget what you told me you thought each room held. Now that you've added on 2 more classrooms, how many more people can go into those?
Well, it would probably hold, I would say that it would be upwards of 870 people.
That we can put in those?
You would meet
in
the
that block?
minimum code
Okay,
for that.
okay.
How many you can actually get in there?
Yeah,
Is a matter of just how many you can get in there, but
Okay.
you don't want to make it too uncomfortable. And that's one of the things we were talking about, even when you're doing drills, even though the kids could fit in there during a certain, a drill or a dangerous situation, you just don't want them too tight,
Right.
so give them a little bit of some elbow room. So I would say that would take you up to meet code for about 875 people.
okay,
which is far beyond
Yeah,
current capacity.
Right.
Even if we took every training.
right.
But that's nice.
Right.
It's good to have for
Yes.
planning purposes if we
Yes.
ever needed to add on to that particular school.
Right. And the school is set up to be able to add on to in the future if needed, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, I think we do that with all of our buildings now.
Yeah.
so when
All go to this, yeah. And that becomes of course, a protocol thing in the end after we all leave the building.
One thing
Scott County will establish protocol. Sorry.
So, these areas on Madison. basically was tied to got loose there and got to lock it down very soon. We only realized that drill particular time of year. Because you're talking about taking
Mm-hmm.
putting it in a tight spot. Just there's a lot. So I would imagine we would do typical standard
Fire.
severe weather. Otherwise, talk to
Scott County has that storm shelter, so how they're proceeding.
well, so there we had some refinement to make sure that that space was able. I think at this point now, say break we've got moving forward
We can
Up-
have a drill.
up to that.
Mhm. And all districts are going through this now. They have to start
Right.
establishing protocol. And when the Kentucky Building Code passed it down, they didn't really pass down protocol to us. They just said, thou shalt now meet these codes. Well, what are the districts? So the districts are just kind of, as I understand it, on their own to kind of establish their own protocol. Because we made storage spaces where you keep water and batteries and things like that, which are up on the mezzanine, because there's a ladder out of that storm shelter area that goes up to the mezzanine, where you can store things like flashlights and batteries and things that they say store for. But I don't know that there's been any clear direction from anybody to the districts as this is what you're supposed to do now with this storm shelter. But that's probably to come. But that's what Mr. Parker and Mr. Ellison were talking about, is like, hey, Scott County, we're establishing protocol for this. So
Very good. Any other questions for Tony? All right,
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Well, let's
Tony.
jump ahead then. Number 8, approve BG3 for Oxford Elementary final plans.
I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Yay.
Thank you so much for
Thank
all
you,
your
Tony.
work.
Tony.
Thank you.
Elementary number 10, here we
We
go.
appreciate it. And there's our calendar.
That's so nice.
We love our Garth. We love our Garth, don't we, Mr.
Yay.
Superintendent?
Okay, for the student achievement piece today, it's almost in 2 sections. First, I need to go over the CDIP with you all, and so I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to let Wendy and Mr. Stefanik and Ms. Wilhite talk about the instructional coach pilot that we've done this year. That's much more exciting. But in the CDIP, I sent the really convoluted, messy one that has all the stuff to Susan. Susan's looked over it. A lot of the stuff that you're going to see on this, because it's due at the end of the 2024 school year, or not school year, but actual year. And so it's almost like you're submitting this plan after the work is already done. So there's going to be a lot of stuff on here that you all are actually all the stuff you all are already very familiar with. So the first required goal of the CDIP is the proficiency in math and reading. So first we've got our reading, and I have the current score of proficient and distinguished, and then what the goal is, and it's upping 3% for that first benchmark. The activities and the strategies are, of course, our high-quality instructional resources, which you all are very, very well versed in. Also, our cohorts, which, again, you all are very well versed in with all of our ELA teachers, which we're getting ready to have our 3rd and final one of the year in February. The utilization of our benchmark systems, our HQIRs, our teacher assessments and pair assessment, and also our Horizon testing to monitor ACT. And, of course, implementing our MTSS system for intervention. And then with math, you see that mirrored very similarly, only, again, it's with our HQIRs and working with professional learning around illustrative mathematics and the access to algebra cohorts. And our high school teachers, math teachers, we are doing a book study on the building thinking classrooms. So that is for the required math goal. And, of course, our MTSS system and our assessment system, which you all are very well versed in. The next required goal is our proficiency in science, social studies, and on-demand writing. And for, again, science going up, the goal is to go up 3%. And the activities and strategies are looking at our high school, middle school assessments and reviewing those as we do every year. Developing, this is new, this will be coming up this summer. We would like to create a benchmark system around science for fourth grade because they are assessed at the state level. So we'd like to create a benchmark just so we can kind of gauge once or twice a year to see where our students are in science. Again, monitoring the completion of our benchmark assessments and piloting a science HQR. We have a couple of different high-quality instructional resources. Open SciEd is one that our elementaries are starting to navigate and give us feedback on. And then for social studies, again, going up 3%. Again, looking at our high school and middle school assessment system, we have a high school assessment team who are building our benchmarks as we speak. And again, just like science, creating that fifth grade benchmark system or benchmark assessment this upcoming summer, just so we can kind of gauge where our students are in the social studies standards in fifth grade. Again, monitoring the delivery and completion of our benchmark system. And we are getting ready to pilot HQR and social studies. We have Morris Chapel. He has been navigating some great social studies resources for elementary. And I think our elementary fifth grade teachers are going to be very excited to have a HQR in their hands. And with writing, again, mimicking the same thing, we have Lemons Mill and Creekside who are piloting an HQR for writing. Lemons Mill had great growth with it last year, and so Creekside is trying that out. So we're going to gauge where we are with that. And again, developing those district benchmarks, or not developing, but assessing our district benchmarks in high school and middle school, and looking at a possible one for fifth grade. We're probably going to prioritize social studies before we do writing, just because we don't want to overwhelm our teachers all at once. And then achievement gap is the next required goal, and that's basically what we would normally call reducing our novice. And so again, we want to reduce from 25% to 22% in reading. And math, we want to reduce from 27% to 24%. And again, looking at how we're doing co-teaching, which you all are very well versed. You've heard a lot about. We have our co-teaching cohorts. We are working with our schools on co-planning with special education teachers. We've been working with our schools on how to strategically schedule based on IEP needs. Again, implementing the HQIR for strong Tier 1 instruction. And looking at our strong Tier 2 and 3 support through MTSS, which leads into what we will be talking about here in just a little bit, which is our instructional coaching pilot for Tier 2 and Tier 3. So I'm excited to let you all hear about that. Graduation rate objectives, again, going from a 93.7% 4 and 5 year rate to a 94.4%. The very first bullet actually already happened like 2 weeks ago. It is looking at how we are being more strategic whenever a student comes to us and says, I want to drop out of school. It's more than just filling out a form. We are going to have them meet with people, really talk through what their options are, have adult ed come in and just make sure that we're educating them, because we have lots of services that could help them graduate on time and quickly. Also, Brent Allen is working with how we are making sure we are tracking how we code students for whenever they exit, so that we don't have students coded as whereabouts unknown when we possibly do. And our post-secondary readiness, really updating the verbiage on the work around leader and me and the profile of a learner, making sure that aligns. Making sure that all staff are trained this upcoming summer, which has already been scheduled, in Core 2 of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. We are looking at how we are being more strategic with our career choices classes, focusing on pathways at the middle school level. Actually, we now have our Pathway Pals, which will start in 3rd grade, where our elementary students will be educated on the career pathways we offer in Scott County. They're super cute. Lot of obviously the creation of 4T Academy. You can check that off the box. CTE pathways that are now offered at Scott County High School, especially around that electrical. and updating all of the equipment through LAVEC funding and the implementation of Pathful for our ILP. And our ELA students, our EL students rather, it's going to be challenging because we are already high and very high in those categories, but we're just going to keep growing. And so really working with our EL teachers around our district PLCs and providing how we can support those students and migrant services. Teachers receiving training on instructional best practice to work with our EL students, especially we're really honing in on what our regular education teachers are doing, not just our EL teachers. Working with them on PLPs and accommodations so that we can ensure that they have their needs met in the classroom. Our secondary EL committee continuing to work on how we are structuring those supports and how we are providing support so that they can meet those graduation requirements to also, again, prevent dropout. Also looking at how our students are able to access the HQIR with iReady, looking at how that is provided also in Spanish, which we're very fortunate here in Scott County because iReady does offer a Spanish version, and so our students do have access to that. And again, just continuing making sure that we're very strategic in how we support our EL students. And lastly is the quality of school climate and safety. Again, continuing our work around students of concern, making sure that we are meeting the needs of each of our students, using the work of Leader and Me to make sure that our students have positive experiences, and making sure that we're providing professional learning around making sure our students' needs are met in our classrooms. So I know it's a lot. It's nothing new that you all already know, but for some reason the state of Kentucky has us do this in January and not August. So, but anyways, so I appreciate your time. Do y'all have any questions? All right, and now I will turn over to something much more exciting and that you all, I'm sure, are very eager to hear about. So Wendy and Damon and Megan, you all come up and share about the policy.
Thanks, Stephanie.
So while they're coming up, I'm gonna go ahead and go ahead. Am I good to jump in?
Absolutely.
Okay. While we're getting started, so I wanted to just, I don't know, set the table. Well, first and foremost, I talk a lot about I want us to have an environment in our community how our principals, teachers, all of our staff are willing and feel comfortable to next out there and take risks. What we're going to be talking about is something Principal Bill White did on their own dime. So wanted to remind everybody kind of where we are. A few years back, had some changes that came to some of the grant funded state level, grant, Read to Achieve. And what they did is basically made it to where those individuals wouldn't qualify for those individuals working directly with them. Just wasn't going to work. None of our schools structured. So what we did is we tweaked the way we were doing our ESSER stuff you probably remember, but just to remind you. And for 2 years we provided called kind of the Scott County Intervention Program. Had elementary school. 2 years. Understood that we were trying to bridge the gap and not being able to do that forever. Shifted where you know, we've gotten to a point where I heard Davis talk about how important it is that we equip certain values teachers, really all teachers. And this fits along with us trying to find the best way. So just again, wanted to kind of just set the stage a little bit. Again, this was a pilot, and then I'll jump back in when we get towards the beginning.
Okay, thanks, Billy. So we know that coaching has an impact on the classroom. And oddly enough, Leader and Me in a recent training had this graphic for us. And so it just shows if you study something on your own, there's a 0% transfer to the classroom that happens immediately. When you watch a demonstration, there's a 0% transfer to the classroom. When you practice something, there's a 5% transfer. But when you have someone coach you on that practice, there's a 95% transfer to the classroom. So we can learn new things and we can gain new understanding, but for that to actually impact the classroom, coaching is that essential piece. So this year we were really excited to have 2 schools jump on board with us to do the instructional coach pilot. We had Garth and Stamping Ground, and it looked really different in both of these schools because it was based on their need. And so Stephanie and I, we had meetings with administrators where they were able to collaboratively plan what that would look like in their building to meet their needs. So Garth went with more of a new teacher approach because he had 5 new teachers, and Stamping Ground looked very different. And so it was based on need in their building. And you'll get to hear more from them in a bit. When we had Garth and Stamping Ground get on board, we have 2 wonderful coach and interventionists that are a part of this program. And so those 2 coaches meet with me monthly, and we do a little, there's 3 of us, mini PLC. And what we're doing is we're building this program as we go and really trying to think about what coaching should look like for Scott County schools. So our coaches have been able to receive training to kind of help get the process started. We did an online module before school started. We did a book study, and then one of our coaches was able to attend cognitive coaching through CKEC, which really kind of helped us figure out what our cycle should look like. So this, and you have these slides, so I don't know if I can click on this. Where's my mouse at? Here. Can you click on the big? No, the big one, sorry. Thank you. So with this cycle, this is a 5-week cycle steeped heavily in cognitive coaching, and it lays out a plan for our coaches. If you can go back. I don't know why thank you. All right, so we also created other materials because with the long-term cycle, the 5-week cycle, we realized that that doesn't fit the need of every teacher. Some of our experienced teachers only needed a short cycle, so we created that. We created documentation and support for resources for our instructional visits that coaches are doing to classrooms. We're not framing these as observations because that really sometimes has a negative connotation. So a coach is a partner with the teacher. They're working together. So they're doing instructional visits. And then the thing I'm most excited about is this instructional playbook that we're creating. And I feel silly that I can't move that arrow. Can you hit the last link for me? Thank you. Okay, so, and this looks different than mine, but if you were to get into this, what we're doing is we're creating checklists of best practices where teachers are establishing a goal. They're identifying a goal that they want to work on, whether that be classroom management, student discourse, something intentional. So we create a checklist of what that should look like. What are the things that you need to include if you're having effective classroom management? So the coach has that tool to share with teachers. And then we also use those checklists to create Google Forms where we can have pre and post data so we can gauge how effective we're being within our process. Can you take me back? Thank you. All right. So in November, we went through a feedback process, and we got feedback from teachers, admin, and then the coaches themselves. And I kind of gave you a cheat sheet in your packet of the feedback, and you can see it's overwhelmingly positive from all parties, teacher, admin, and coaches. Teachers voiced the desire for more classroom visits, which honestly is exceptional, right? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. the process, teacher said, is directly benefiting our students, and they especially like that low pressure, non-evaluative piece that a coach can provide. With the coaches, they said things like they're seeing classroom management drastically improve. They're seeing growth in a vast range of things, from differentiation, instructional planning, gradual release, all the things that we're trying to move forward in Scott County. Those are the things that they're seeing improve. And then admin are going to tell you what they think.
All right, good evening. So instructional coaching has been a game changer for my teachers and students. In the first semester alone, 28% of my teachers went through at least one coaching cycle. This has given them a safe, non-evaluative space to refine instructional strategies, increase student engagement, and elevate classroom discourse. The beauty of coaching is that it allows teachers to try new approaches, receive real-time feedback, and make adjustments before official evaluations. In addition, my coach led peer observations, and these were tremendously beneficial. First and second grade teachers observed one another, as did third and fourth, and then kindergarten and fifth will go through the cycle in the spring. This process helped develop vertical alignment while giving teachers the opportunity to learn from one another. Each observation was followed by a reflective conversation based on those cognitive coaching strategies to ensure meaningful takeaways. And this is the type of professional learning my teachers value and appreciate. Having a dedicated coach ensures teachers receive consistent, valuable feedback, something that my assistant principal and I simply can't provide as often as we would like. A coach isn't juggling managerial duties, discipline, or evaluations. They are 100% focused on instruction, which is making teachers feel supported. My ultimate dream is to have a dedicated instructional coach position focused solely on building systems that ensure all teachers receive the feedback they deserve. With this level of support, we can take instruction and student achievement to the next level. Thank you.
I know Wendy gave me 3 minutes, so I apologize if I go over. My name is Sam Mr. I am the lead learner at Garth Elementary. I do some.
For the recording.
Absolutely. My apologies. But I just would like to talk with you all about what I feel is a critical piece to student achievement. Teaching's a bit of an anomaly. We take young people from colleges after their solo week, and we put them in with 24 young people, and we say, go get them, Tiger. We expect them to go in there and just understand what teaching is without having support, modeling, the things that make exceptional teachers exceptional. And I heard Mr. Davis, and I appreciate what he said about teacher retention. How do we retain and gain new teachers who are going to be great in their profession, their chosen calling, and how are we going to keep them here in Scott County? We're going to do that by supporting them through this effort, which is called instructional coaching. I could sit up here and talk all day. This is one of my favorite things to do, is talk. But more importantly, I think it's going to be a little bit more of a bigger lens to talk about some of the testimonials that our current teachers who are in the instructional coaching program have said about Miss Donna Marshall, who is our current instructional coach. This is from Miss Hogue. I couldn't have done it without her. Her expertise and experience guided me through so many critical aspects of teaching everything from classroom management to successfully implementing Orton Gillingham. Additionally, she's helped me bring a majority of initially low-level performing groups of students up to grade level by the end of the year. This is from Ms. Sarah Arnold. While my coursework provided a solid foundation, it was through Mrs. Marshall's guidance, strategies, and insights from her experience that I truly began to understand what it means to be an effective, supportive, and compassionate educator. I thought I had an endless amount of great classroom management ideas, but nothing had prepared me for my extremely chatty class. After days of trying new strategies, I reached out to Donna for help. By simply watching her take the lead in my classroom for an hour, modeling how she engages students, managing behaviors, and fostering a positive and student-centered learning environment immensely aided me in gaining my confidence and taking over my control of my classroom. This is from Miss Lauren Burnt. Building my confidence as an educator was Donna's job. She emotionally supported me on those very hard days. As a new teacher, it is the biggest blessing to have a trusted, organized resource available that understands my grade level content. If we don't have someone there who brings young people along, then we as an education system are not going to have the assets that we need to hit the highest levels of student achievement. I love this program. I urge you to consider it, and I thank you all for listening and your support. You need that.
So now let's look at a little bit of the data from the teachers that were in the program. This by no means is all of the data, but I've just pulled out some snippets of this. So Stamping Ground Reading, 2 of the teachers that went through cycles were able to lower their 1 grade level below. Now, and you guys remember that's the yellow piece from iReady, from 74% at the beginning of the year to 39% at winter, and was able to increase the on level from 26% to 61%. So overwhelmingly, we're decreasing yellow, increasing green. That bottom piece shows you how we're moving students who were 2 grade levels or below in that red or more, 52% to 24%. Garth Reading, same. So here we have 2 teachers. We have decreased 2 grade levels below from 41% to 14% for the winter diagnostic. And then again, the bottom teacher, 41% to 18%. So really great results. Same thing is happening in math. A little bit of this is just because I got so excited when I was looking at it, like, oh, this is so good. But at Stamping Ground, we were able to increase the on level from 9% to 52% at the winter. And then...
Are you showing us the data from the classrooms of the teachers that participated?
Yes, ma'am.
So do you have data to compare with the teachers who didn't participate?
I do have data.
I mean, you don't have to share it. I'm just
Yeah.
curious because this might have happened whether they were coached or not.
You know, and I thought the same
I mean,
thing.
I'm not challenging that it did. I'm just
Right.
wondering if you've got a comparison.
Absolutely. So I do have data on all of our teachers. And that's really why I went hunting for this, because I wanted to see the impact. I will say, and I don't have the percentages off the top of my head, but the amount that we're able to increase on grade level and then decrease that 2 or more is very different than in just a normal classroom. Now, you have teachers who've been teaching forever. They got it down. Maybe it's the same. But your teachers who need that little extra support, whatever that looks like, it doesn't look the same. And then Garth Math, we have increased the on-grade level from 5% to 41% and lower the 2 grade levels below from 41 to 9. Which is really great data. So that leads back to Billy.
So, yes, so here's what I wanted to show you. I'll stop on everything because I wanted to just put this out. What we have experienced with Stamping Ground and Garth, and it's a pilot idea. You know, there is no expectation for any kind of decision, but it is, I did want to demonstrate to you, talk this through. We're going to this next slide. Me and Gina have had extensive conversations about the feasibility of this, and part of why we've got this kind of 3-year framework in place that we'll share is because we're cognizant of the fact that there were to be some districts front would be a big ask all at once doing this. The other thing I want to point out too is I think, you know, when we talk about teachers wanting more feedback, why is that? Well, I think part of that is we've got 2 schools who are very careful about the people that they put in front of them, put the right person. Unlike situations, every every school should have this. Every school might not be ready for it. They might not have, let's be real, we don't have nature variance. So what we're going to share is kind of a stair-stepped approach to this. But again, what we have seen with this would be I principle, because initially what happened, there was state was going to provide support for this. So they what we're already thinking about this. Important. We're gonna take off with it. So that's kind of where we are.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
I'll jump in.
So we have this 3-year plan, and I blew this slide up so that it was easier to read for you guys. But if schools choose to potentially be involved in this program, then the first year they would go through an admin planning session with our OSL team. The intervention coach would complete training, and then they would have to attend district PLC meetings, and the school is responsible for the cost of the position fully. Now, once that's successful, then they would move to year 2, where we would have continued training, continued OSL support. They would still come to district PLCs so that they have a community of their own coaches. We can continue to build the program. And the school would be responsible for 1/3 the cost of the position, and the district would pay 2/3 cost. And then if that is successful and the program is still moving forward in a positive light, then we would move to year 3, where the requirements would remain the same. However, now at this time, the district is responsible for the cost of the position.
One thing I neglected, I can recall specifically high school. Not every I think sometimes further might want to have a that opportunity. That's kind of the thought here. Out conversation, you all and district principal, SCA want to make sure comes that
Absolutely. Do you guys have questions for us at all?
Well, just to bounce off of what you're saying right here, Billy, are you looking at this as just a 3-year program, or is it a 3+ program? What do you think?
No, this would be we're showing how you get
The 3rd year's full implementation.
Right. No, I understand that.
they're
I
out.
just wonder, it could have said like year 3+, and I just didn't know that we're going to be
Yes, and
handling,
it
the
should
majority.
have.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious. We talked about it the other day, but
that gives us the opportunity also.
Yeah.
Because
right.
let's say that and again, we could make tweaks and changes, whatever. Let's just okay, yeah, we're able to do the so we can plan for then next year we have take it on first. That way we have time and time to accordingly so that it doesn't hit us right in the face. But also too, so trying. The other thing. Correct me if I'm wrong on yours. I understand both of you. Not only are still some degree.
They're still interventionists, part-time.
And that was the wrinkle
okay,
that we
that was-
ran into with the state.
They both are.
State wanted one or the other. Like,
Flexible.
Both of these are intervention coach.
I will say the model was also balance of coaching while also providing. That way, we're not completely wipe out the intervention.
Right.
Yeah, we just didn't feel like that was the right fit.
and
Do you-
again, oh, sorry.
I was just going to ask, do you feel like you still want to have the interventional piece of that in addition to the coaching?
100%. I honestly, I'm an interventionist. I don't know if you know that about my background, but I was a math interventionist for 7 years. 100%. I cannot.
Yeah, I see value in that. Yeah, I just wanted to see
But
what
I
your
think
opinion.
too, though, there's also, because one of the things.
Yes.
Aspect. Or hoping not be great because hitting it on the front end. Or
And it has been it's a challenge to have the dual role, intervention and coach, but they have worked their plan so well, and that planning session that we had at the beginning really helped these administrators create a plan that supported the teachers in doing both of
Do you
those.
foresee it staying the same? Do both roles for that coaching person, or just pure coach? Okay.
I'll be honest with you, I could speak. We didn't even know. We knew that this was best. Knew that we had.
Absolutely.
not
Were your teachers on staff already? And how did you sell the program to them?
I think that's how we got them. We told them that there was going to be. We told them that there was.
Just them or your whole faculty?
No,
Just the 5
these
new.
5 teachers.
I got you.
We told them dedicated to growth and development. Not only did they choose us, other schools, because these are great people, they felt that this was valuable to them being.
I see.
Mine was a little different. So Sam, Miss Lana came to the meeting. We opened it up to staff to choose if they wanted to participate or not. So we gave people the option, but then we also worked with those brand new teachers and also teachers that may have been new to a grade level that just needed some extra support or whatnot. But I think Sam you have to be very intentional with who you put in that role because
That's
that
what-
makes a big difference in whether it's successful or not. Sam already being at the school and having those relationships and the trust that exists between her and the other teachers is what made
That
it
doesn't always
successful.
go well.
Right.
Here's
Right.
another thing. Follow up. Again, it's all just, I don't know, several things. I feel like it approach this best of its idea. One of the things I've been at a school. This creates a run into a isn't this way. Give and take. There's conversation and the district. We're going to end up eventually picking up the dime on this. We're going to have to be step in step on who
Yep.
this person.
Is.
I really like a lot of because I feel person not hiring what happened. My question is, after the 3 years we're paying for, what if Wendy Young was the interview? I decided to leave. So then they're gonna have to hire somebody. Well, it was proven when Wendy Young was there. But if you put Diana
Exactly.
Brooker in, I mean, because it's about that
Yeah.
person, really.
Because my experience
Yeah.
is more often than not, you're pulling somebody from the classroom who's just got 20 years experience and she's burned out. So
Right.
she's the one that becomes the
Yeah.
interventionist or the coach because she's got experience and she just wants to change. And she ends up spending half her day helping the administrators on admin pieces
Right.
instead of actually coaching.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my experience. And when Hub came in, we cleaned house and got rid of a lot of positions that were exactly like that. My concern is we've just made this real pretty and we're starting the whole process back over again. And for the first 2 years, there's going to be a lot of buy-in because you're going to find that perfect person. And then moving forward, it's just going to be it's going to be a teacher who's not in the classroom. I have concerns for that reason. To
What
me, this
about-
seems like the work of the administrator, the PLC, and at any given point, the best teacher in your building ought to have a couple half days to coach new teachers. You got teachers in crisis, you send your best teacher in there to work with them and to handle that acute problem.
But
It just seems like a lot of money for fear of what's to come.
well, but I don't know that. So I think I see it a little bit differently. I see it a little bit differently. I think you all know proving it's not uncommon. We got to the point where it was uncommon for 13 emergency certifications to come through and nobody batted an eye.
I agree. I agree. But I think what I guess what concerns me is within a school, I taught social studies. I was not equipped to coach a math teacher, but I was able to coach a lot of social studies teachers. I mean, Dwayne and Jonda would send me ninth grade teachers sometimes that needed some help or needed to observe or spend some time in a seasoned classroom. So, as a kindergarten, is a person who spent 15 years as a kindergarten teacher equipped to help coach a teacher in a fifth grade classroom? I don't know.
But I think it's because they're doing the cognitive coaching together. Because I really think it's working because it's a small group.
Well, sure. Yeah,
And
I agree with that.
so I'm like, we're not gonna I know we're saying everybody can do it, but I think we need to keep it small and
Well, not everybody needs
build
that.
on that. And then like I said, if Wendy Young left, then we want to make sure Diana Brooker is successful in it.
Absolutely.
So then I feel like you need to be tagging some other teachers in
Mm-hmm.
and not wait until somebody leaves.
Yeah.
So then
I'm
yeah.
going to say something else. This isn't like
You do
a
it in the middle
gets to make
school?
a decision on who this is.
Could
This
you?
isn't the district making the decision. Collaborative process between the school and the district. And so you're going to have to consistently evaluate. And there would be collaboration with Cindy and David of where we're assessing where we are. If it's not successful, you can easily go back and say,
That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
So after year 3, I'm gonna give you the money. We don't see this working. Y'all gonna go
that's
back
not
to
the way this will work. No, because if it were, it would be a Section 7. It would be a decision that we make.
And I'll be honest too, though. I think that's a great question.
I know.
Somebody was asleep at the wheel there. But what I do think is in truth though, I do think that's a piece that we really haven't.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a part of the plan. That's why I was saying this isn't. We're not coming to you saying, "Hey, let's do this." Sure, we're saying here's what kind of thing.
But I really do think that is because as an interventionist, if you're an interventionist, you are working with, a certain group of teachers. You already know the kids, you know what they're needing. So that's why I feel like it really works because they're in that classroom. And then when an interventionist comes in to help a teacher, it's not like, it's like we're equal because you're working with them. And the interventionist is going to jump in and work with those kids because they know.
Mhm.
So it's like, having an additional, in the classroom that has
Absolutely.
more. I mean, I really.
And
Okay. I think for elementary, it's fantastic. I'm just wondering about middle school and high school, just
And this
because,
is only elementary,
Yes.
by the way.
oh,
That probably would have been.
And-
Yeah,
big
that's a good.
clarifying.
Yeah,
that would've
that's
helped.
what I'm saying. We don't have.
Well, that's what.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm adding up numbers.
Yeah,
How
it's
many?
like how we
Yeah,
gonna do this? Yeah.
I've already done the math on all schools.
Yeah.
yeah.
so I think it's great. I think elementary is, one thing I know as a principal, you can, the students as they go through all the grades, K through 5, and those teachers. And I think being a middle school teacher, it would be very difficult. It would take someone very, very special. Well, at each area, each subject area.
And
So,
I don't want to devalue what Ms. Thompson said because I completely agree. If you don't have someone who can do the job,
Right.
and they're
Yes.
effective, then that is the job of the principal to make that change. We need to go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
here. But I will
Year
tell
one.
you this: if I didn't have this person, we have no assistant principal in our allocation. We are actually taking that role and moving it in should we choose it. But I will tell you, if I was a younger principal, got 5, 6 teachers who were sitting in my building, I'm missing out on a help them improve their instructional delivery, improve their art, while I'm trying to figure out my life.
And the other, we kind of touched on it, but I kind of did. Talking about else, again, had a chance to look back at decisions that have been made over the past, and see where we are from where we came. And don't have still have. I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And as we're building the program, we're also creating a system for training new people that might come in the future.
Mhm.
So thinking about what are the things they need to go through to learn how to be an appropriate coach and to transition into that kind of step. So those are things that we're also looking at
So
in our
with
PLC.
not growing,
Mhm.
it adds making sure we're building enough. Maybe I really want to be a leader, like, but not a principal.
Absolutely.
But I would love to do something. If I don't get the job, I don't get the
So Mr. Allen actually sent me 2 people from the leadership, what's it called? Aspiring leaders. And they had already contacted me about, what could that look like in the, not knowing any of this, but would we ever have positions like that? So I absolutely think we can incorporate it.
And, Mr. Spanik hit the point. When they started down this path, there was never any discussion.
Evolved.
Kind of just
Built.
Again, at the end of the day, it's kind of to your point. Have a full bucket on the coaching side of it. Mention need.
Mm.
Not
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yes, they meet with them.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
thinking kids.
Yeah, because I didn't know. I'm a brand new teacher. I got one more thing.
Yeah.
They don't feel like that. That's the only thing I can.
They meet, but more than talk about instruction, it's an opportunity to have someone listen.
To help them.
A lot of times they aren't going to come to me.
Yeah.
They still call me Mr. Spanik. They may not. But I mean, they have this person. Wendy said it's not evaluative. They feel like is that safe space that they can talk to. Hey, I'm struggling with this. Please help me.
Doesn't feel like a meeting. It's like when they talk to my people, then knows a little bit more.
Is it a daily that's required, a weekly required, or as needed,
Actually,
as far as that interaction?
I allow the autonomy to our coach, and I have 100%. I know. The great thing is she's going in that classroom and subbing in that classroom. This teacher needs to know how to do this. We send that teacher where she knows how to do it. I don't have to get a sub. She goes in there and works with those kids. I don't have to worry about them missing a step. Or she comes in and models that practice because she needs the same kids. A lot of times I'll go to another school. Those aren't my kids. These are my kids. And I see this teacher being successful, implementing whatever. There is not a time where she's not busy, not a time where she's not working on Bill 9, math, or reading, or whatever else, because there's a whole bunch more paperwork that comes with that. So she's got plenty to keep her. I'm sure it's the
Same,
same
yeah.
way.
So do either of you foresee, you have your idea of how you're running it this year, you have yours. Do you ever see that crossing over? Let's say the day comes and you don't have a new teacher in the building, or maybe you just have a couple next year. How does that look for you? How does that look for you if you do get a couple new teachers and you want to?
And I think that's the beauty of the program is that we do have the autonomy to mold it to what our teachers need. So yes, if I have 7 new teachers next year, by all means, the look of the program would change.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
It's so,
Yeah.
I mean, I really applaud this. It shows you all that you didn't wait for him. You didn't wait for him. You all decided. And going back to what Mike said, that's the problem. Teachers. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just excited.
No.
I just talking about
I'm just
me.
messing with him.
Oh, okay. But I mean, that's the problem. No. And that's why.
My only question is, and you may have answered it, Mr. Stefanik, is how are the schools handling the first year financially and then the part of the second year? Is this somebody already on the staff, like an instructional resource person that they're not doing that full time? They're both things. So it's not really an additional financial aspect for you, or is this a new position you're having to fund?
You want me to answer that so you don't have to
Fund it.
answer?
Sure.
Yeah, that's
That would be
great.
wonderful.
So essentially, they have their allocation.
Right.
Either their allocation. Paying.
So we're not losing other positions
No.
to fund this position.
No,
It's costing us.
they're managing their budget just typically how they do, but they allocated this for.
This was the goal was to transition from what we had all schools. They saved money to pay for that intervention. Chose to jump in and try this model instead of doing part intervention, part coach.
I like the aspect of professional development. I understand perfectly what you're saying, and it's something definitely, to keep in check and what have you, and as we move forward with funding, but
And again, talking about high school. Some benefit in terms of.
Oh, yeah, well, I wouldn't
Yeah, I know,
worry
but
about
I'm
fairness or equity, no. That was
just. I know, but just.
Having the right person. So important.
It's all of it. Yeah, it's all of it.
yeah.
Whether that's
Absolutely.
kindergarten or 12th grade.
Sure, and the degree to which the principal in the building with that, and I'm not directing at you two, I'm just saying in general, at large, is how they're directing and their expectations.
Right. Yes.
Because we all live in the real world, we've seen it.
And Mr. Davis, yours is just our show. It ought to be on my bingo. It ought to be on my bingo board, but we're thinking about how can no one thing. When I think can't everything. It's a collection. Kind of look back, it's doing a much better job supporting our. How do we do? Collection.
Real quickly, do you have any input from parents about this? I mean, any comments from them or?
I didn't share about this with parents. That I didn't let the parents of the classrooms know that they had a coach coming in. But I feel like that would be a great idea, and I think people would be.
Okay, I just,
I kind of sometimes the proof is in 5 new teachers probably don't see these types of issues.
mhm.
if you want to talk about it further, please reach out with questions. Be happy to talk about it.
Yes, thank you so much.
I don't know, I don't know if throwing this out here and we can kind of discuss how I could see come in and talk about, just that way we can make sure that we have our heads wrapped around all the different aspects. Aren't we don't want to halfway.
Well, this may have already been said, but can you see all the elements? Is this what you want?
Yes,
It was already
yes,
said,
but
that was already said.
yes, but again, I think that's why there needs
Okay,
because
I got
it
you.
can't be just a situation. I just who do you have?
Yes. and
I think
So
Yeah, I think so.
Good to pilot
person
too,
that-
instead of
and
just
the
trying to do
person
everything.
that
100%.
and
We need a phone.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the discussion.
Mhm.
Moving on, number 10, approve Section 7 funding for 2025-2026 school year.
Move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 11, approve emergency certification for one math teacher at Georgetown Middle School.
I move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 12, approve renewal award for student athletic accident insurance with Hartford for the 2025-2026 school year.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 13, renew awarded athletic trainer contract for the 2025-2026 school year.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 14, approve district Mo bids as submitted.
So moved?
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 15, approve surplus items as submitted.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Approve donation reports from July 1st, 2024 through 12/30 of 2024.
Second?
All in favor? Those
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Number 17, approve 2026 draft budget.
Move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 18, financial statement. Gina?
Our ending cash balance our ending cash balance at this time. Question?
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 19, approve current bills.
Move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 20, superintendent's reports. Mr. Parker?
all right. So I'm gonna buzz through this thing. So under standard one, strategic leadership, we had a meeting the other day with Brian, our representative, and me, and walked through two training. A lot of really good discussion. Standard two, mid-year operating results analysis. We also, so this is one of those things where I've got to give Stephanie credit. Part of the model this cohort in this case, middle school, time to come together. They have been given a lot of autonomy on how they structure their time and what they do. From that, they recognize, hey, we need to locate work. So they started the first annual Scott still on. Want to go to the library? It's still up in the hall as you go. I don't know. So as you outside of the community room on the wall, and what struck me about it, which tells me that part of it, pain, other things. It was just really neat, and they have ideas about expanding it and making it great. And I just thought that was letting them have that time to work together. And then Scott County High School, we've been doing. Scott County High School pushed it back, including weather. So we just now got the. It was a lot of the same team. So we didn't have to worry about pleasantries. We knew each other. Straight to the quick of it, and right on. So really excited about the fact that we're lines up really well. We had an EL family night last night. Scott County Schools opportunity, given a lot of lately. That plan on speaking for turned with that. Right. I think our family felt support. And then MLK Day, due to the weather, things got changed around, and but I did get a chance to participate in the march. Not get a chance to participate in the presentation that was after the march. Maybe if I'd have thought that through, I'd have I tried to flip that around because it was pretty cold. I saw is Mr. Douglas out there. There he is. Yeah, Mr. Douglas was there with me, so he knows it was a cold march, wasn't it? But anyway, participated in that. We've been working on allocation meeting preparation. Those will be coming up next week. Our first for that. We'll be marching through that process in the next few months. Standard 5, not a shock that this time of year we're responding to inclement weather. I've got to give a shout out to J.R. Brandenburg, Mr. Bruins with City, State Road Crews. I don't have names there because I'm working through intermediaries connections there, but they all worked with us. And towards the end too, they were like reaching out, hey, we've got a crew out here. Where do you need help? We could relay some information on roads. They could take care of them. Dwayne's team, I don't know that Dwayne's team maybe had 2 days off in January. Non-school. Couldn't thank them enough. They even gave me a chance to break some of the equipment this time around. So I don't know if I'll be invited to come back, but we will see. The Standard 6 collaborative leadership, CKEC posted a town hall in which the Commissioner of Education spoke about potential assessment changes. There are some things that we are ahead of the game. What they're calling the really that all ties back to our follow. So it encouraged me to know that if any changes are to come on the horizon, that I think we're going to be primed and ready for it to just it'll be seamless for us. We don't have to be concerned about creating. We've already got a lot of measures. And then last standard I have is Standard 7. Man, it's just a different feel. Legislative session. I know we're only 4 days into it, but I don't know that I've ever had this involvement from all three state representatives. I've met with Ms. Grossel. Came by. It was, I think, the first crazy. We met and got to talk through some of her passions. Spoke with Representative Hampton about some bills. He and I think have known each other probably out of the three probably don't have to have as long a conversations because we can get it all out pretty quick. And then first time since I've been a superintendent, maybe since I've been in the district, that a senator from the state of Kentucky has been able to participate in a tour. Senator Nunn went around and toured the Academy, EMS, Great Crossing High School, Scott County High School. Favorite part of the tour was we were in GMS. We went down the hall where the new addition is, and there's a board there, a bulletin board, and Shane's explaining about the house system, talking about the four houses, trying to explain to Senator Nunn about how it works and all the things. And another kid walked by, and I don't think he felt Mr. Pickerel was doing it right. He said, "Well, actually," and then he just for 5 minutes, the kid just, and it was like, I was like, this is perfect. Like it wasn't scripted, but man, it couldn't have been scripted better. So just really excited, and as I've tried to communicate to all of them, I have absolutely no expectation they are going to sign up thinking you all fine. I just want, because sometimes a bill that when you see it, I've seen bills even myself. I see it looks like dig into it. There's consequences. People in those fields maybe better represent. So just wanting to make sure that we've got that door. I feel really, really good about where we are. I do plan house education training, Senate education, subcommittee, similar to how done last year was hard to get. Last thing I want to say is, our conversation officially KSBA calls this recognition. Renee and I were talking about it. And I agree, because we don't want to just recognize it. We appreciate the time that goes into it. Just one of those things where, had around the pilot, I'm sitting here and I'm just, this is awesome. Have a conversation. Everybody, I have every faith in every person on the table.
Thank you. Next is board comments, and I'm going to just jump right in and just say thank you, Dwayne and Billy, Josh, road crews, for doing what we needed to do for our kids. Declaring snow days versus NTI days. I think we all know how we all feel about that, and the rough decision that it goes before it, behind it, in it, around it, everything that comes into play it just isn't easy. And we had just been talking as a board about what we thought about NTI days and how we'd like to see those go away as much as they can, and then here comes a big winter storm. But thank you very much. Dwayne, I love your little wakies in the morning or whatever it may be, but I know that you fellows get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. You have endless conversations with the National Weather Bureau just to try to make the best decisions that we can. And it's all about the safety of our kids. And yes, our road crews also did a fabulous job. And I just want to always say thank you to them. I also want to say thank you to the fiscal court for recognizing our board this month. I truly do appreciate it. I love the recognition for our for our board, because I know how much time we all dedicate, to it, and I'm glad that you got the recognition. So, and thank you also, Corinda, who organizes everything just wonderfully. And thank you so much for thinking about us. You're very thoughtful in everything that you do for this board. Thank you for putting this together for us this evening, and the gifts and everything else. So, I just wanted to appreciate that. So, yes, and Renee, I look for Renee for a lot of guidance, whether she realizes it or not, during board meetings. Yes. So, Becky.
You all know that I'm a big proponent of school libraries because I am a school librarian, and I know how school libraries touch every single person, faculty, and student in our school, and what an impact that can make. When I observed a neat collaboration going on in our community right now, our public library has sponsored an author illustrator, Richard Cowdery, who has done a number of books, but the latest one that young children are excited about is about the little hippo Fiona from Cincinnati. Richard does live in Cincinnati, and our public library is sponsoring his coming down to Scott County Schools. He is going to be presenting at both Garth Elementary and at Lemons Mill Elementary, so all first graders in those two schools will hear him, as well as presenting at the public library. I think that's a really nice collaboration, and the librarians in both schools are working toward coming up with the money to provide every first grade student with his book about Fiona on a ready-to-read level. So they are accepting donations, just FYI. But as a school librarian retired now, when I run into my former elementary students, who of course are now adults, and ask them what they remember about my school library program, they say a few things, but they always say those author illustrator visits. Those were very impactful. They actually got to meet someone who wrote something they care about, making them feel like, I could do that too. I could draw those pictures. I could write, and really connecting to reading. So nice thing happening in two of our schools.
I was for Southern Elementary, like a difference as far as, and I just want to celebrate the amazing job, just orchestrating the that were there, leaders there, and heard a lot of it like back, there as well. And then the one-to-one February. So anybody that is to be a
I won't repeat everything you said, but it was on my list to thank Dwayne and the road crew. I've got friends who are bus drivers, heard from them when we first went back. They were so impressed at how easy the turnarounds, everything was ready to go. They didn't have stress or concerns. And then comparing where we were with other districts, kudos, Tanya. I didn't get a call. I didn't get a snide comment in the grocery store. Not a word about any of it. Somebody's doing something right. So impressed with that. And again, thanks to Corinda and everybody else for the support. Board member Gratitude Month recognition. Call it. Appreciation. I've been serving this district for 21 years. Greatest honor of my life.
Is it my turn?
It is your turn. Last but not least.
I think being January and school board appreciation, but you don't know how much we appreciate you. I sat at the fiscal court and listened to all the gentlemen, no women, but all the gentlemen, and they were so appreciative how we work together with the city, with the county, and the school board. And that can only be a positive impact on our kids. I mean, without a doubt. So again, Dwayne, thank you for that. And would you say how much we appreciate that? It was very meaningful. They spoke, each gentleman spoke. But anyway, and everything else that was said, my little honey, thank you so much.
We love you, Corinne.
Yep. So anyway, thank you, and it's an honor to sit up here.
Okay, number 22, move to closed session pursuant to KRS 61.810(1)(f).
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
What would happen if the majority opposed it? Guess we
I
all
know.